And with the single press of a button, we are now live. What is going on, everybody in chat? I'm Randall Thor19, the man with the million. And as always, I am with my co-host for the Xbox 2 podcast, the one and only Jezor. Or Jez, but he used to be Jezor. What's going on, Jez?
I'm pretty good. Pretty busy, hardworking, same old.
Same old.
Gaming, working, eating pizza.
Painting your room Xbox green just because, right?
Yeah. Well, my girlfriend says it's mint green, but I'm just gonna say it's Xbox green.
Xbox green, but she when she picked out the color, she wasn't even thinking about Xbox. You were though.
No. I was so.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna have a great show for everybody. We got a whole bunch of topics to talk about. The whole Xbox being too profitable for Microsoft to leave, the game gifting stuff, and what I think that is eventually going to lead to. Is PS5 really coming in 2019? And if that's the case, when can we expect the next Xbox? A whole bunch of topics. But first, Jez, RIP Windows Phone, huh? I saw those headlines, bro. No more Windows Phone,
huh? Man, it's Windows Phone 8 that's been shut down. Windows 10's mobile still going, kind of. Nah.
Kind of, but not really.
No, not really. It's all dead. It's all dead.
I did see it was like, hey, Windows 8 shut down. I'm like, well, I know there's a Windows 10 phone, but I mean, Windows Mobile is pretty much dead.
That's done.
And how much did they spend on Nokia just to shut them down and end their whole line? It wasn't a lot of money.
$7 billion.
$7 billion. That's like pocket change to a company like Microsoft. Like absolute pocket change, right?
Microsoft has 120 billion in cash in the bank, so yes, it is pocket change for them. But it's still, it's thousands of people's jobs that got cut. So that's the sad part of it.
Well, that sucks.
But who knows in the future? Maybe we could get an Xbox phone.
Interesting you talk about that. But did you also see the article about how Microsoft is going to invest 10 billion in bringing internet to rural areas and stuff?
Yeah, I saw this. The TV white spaces stuff. Microsoft is working on transmitting internet via TV signals to help rural communities. So that's interesting. What else is interesting with this is that Microsoft is also launching a carrier business where you can basically buy internet from the Windows and Xbox store. That's something that's coming as well from Microsoft. So
you can.
Well, it's something that's on the way. So it's interesting. Is Microsoft going to become an ISP in the future? Who knows? And then they'll just be like, you know what, Sony, we'll just block you from our network. And then they'll win.
They wouldn't do that.
Nah, they wouldn't do that. But
yeah,
there's loads of weird stuff happening at Microsoft right now. But there's one thing that is definitely not happening at Microsoft, and that is them shutting down Xbox.
That's right. But before we get into all that stuff, I wanted to ask you about the games you've been playing recently, since last week. If you've been getting down on gaming, I know you and the one and only Roby1 Kenobi do a morning show on Mixer every day, where you guys play a game for an hour, chat it up with people on Mixer, which is pretty cool. A little bit too early for my blood, but
Roby's crazy. He gets up at 5 a.m. to do that.
Yeah.
Roby's
so.
nuts.
What have you been playing, man? What has Jazz been up to?
Well, on Mixer, me and Roby, we always play Dying Light. Now, Dying Light kind of passed me by when it first came out, and I think it's because it's so slow to get going. But now, I'm a bit higher level. I got some guns. Started seeing more interesting, but more powerful zombies. It's actually become really interesting and fun. So, and also, Dying Light's going to get 10 more DLC drops this year, and they're all going to be free. So that's interesting as well. I really like Dying Light. I don't know if there's any Dying Light fans in the chat. If there is, let us know. Other than that, Rand, I've got a confession. I've started playing
confession
World of
time
Warcraft again.
Jazz, you knew this is relapse time, dude. We're gonna have to have an intervention. Well,
it's very funny because Josh Cohen from Xbox, who he used to do the Gears of War marketing, and then he got a big job opportunity at Blizzard and move to California to basically, take a higher position, and also to move into a place where there's sunlight.
Right, of course.
Living in Seattle is a bit rainy, and so he got a job over there, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got a little guild in WoW, in the American realms, little guild, casual guild," and I was like, "Oh man, I could play WoW and just play around with Josh Kerwin for a bit," and then I made a character on the American realms, and then Roby was like, now I've got to subscribe again now, so I got Roby One Kenobi addicted to World of Warcraft again as well.
That was your plan all along, wasn't it?
It kind of was.
Kind of. I knew it. So is that just it? Just some Dying Light and some World of Warcraft stuff?
Well, there is one other game we've been playing, which I know you've been playing as well, called Black the Fall, which is a side-scrolling puzzle game with a dark atmosphere similar to Inside and Limbo. It's not quite as polished as Inside, but I think it's pretty good. What do you think?
Well, I actually recorded my review, which will be going up after the show. I think it's a good game, but it doesn't attain the heights of Inside or Limbo or even Little Nightmares. So look for my review. I recommend it if you're a fan of the genre, for sure. It's also an incredibly short game. I think you can beat it in like 2.5 hours. So yeah, that I played Black to Fall. I also played Iron Cryptosil, which is a twin stick shooter that came out. Yeah, it's a twin stick shooter that came out on Tuesday, which actually was quite fun. It's $10. I have the review up. It's actually quite a lot of fun. I found myself like when I would die, I would go for another run and things like that. So that was quite enjoyable. I finished up the Uncharted collection, since you give me so much shit because I'm a pony now, right? As you say. I liked Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 quite a bit. Uncharted 2 is the best. I took a break from the Uncharted to kind of like, I'm gonna take a little break from Uncharted before I start Uncharted 4, and I played Journey. I don't know. Have you ever played Journey?
Nope. That's a PlayStation 3 game, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's still an incredibly good game. It's very much kind of like Abzu if Abzu wasn't in water. It's kind of hard to describe. It's a linear kind of puzzle game where you have like one goal, and that's to get to this mountain in the distance. But it's another short game. I think I beat it in literally 2 hours, but it was really cool. And I plan on playing Uncharted 4 for this weekend, trying to knock that out. I just kind of want to put some time between the Uncharted games, and yeah. Although I did get a awesome news today. One of my favorite games of the year is finally coming to Xbox, even though I played it and reviewed it on the PlayStation 4. What Remains of Edith Finch was announced today for Xbox. And it will be coming out next week, a week from now, on July 19th. Now, I mentioned this to you before the show, and you were like, I can't kill people in the game, man, I don't want to play it.
Well, sell it to me, man. What do you do in this game?
It is the app. All right. I know a lot of people look down on walking simulators, right? They feel like maybe they're not interactive enough, or there's nothing really to do. But literally, What Remains of Edith Finch is the pinnacle and the culmination of that genre. Like, it is the best game that the walking simulator has ever produced, and I'm not sure you can get a game that has that type of story and to go along with it ever again. I honestly doubt that game could be topped in that genre. Like, it is a pinnacle of...
Is it a horror game?
No, it's not a horror game.
You see, I don't mind walking simulators when they're horror. I quite liked what was it called now? That game with the paintings. My mind's gone blank.
Mine's gone blank.
The game with the paintings, the horror walking simulator for Xbox.
Layers of Fear or whatever?
Layers of Fear. I enjoyed Layers of Fear.
Yeah, I mean, Layers of Fear is a cool game, but this is like the absolute honestly, like, it's a short game too. It tells a really tight story. It's got some incredible voice acting, and the game looks good. I honestly can't recommend. I gave it a 9.5, Jez. 9.5. That's how much that game moved me.
Wow.
It's
Did
incredibly
you cry?
sad. What?
Did you cry?
No, I mean I don't really cry, but it's an incredibly sad game.
You
But it's
too.
also
Bad at
incredibly.
cry.
I think you would like it. I think you would like it, Jez.
Well, I will
Honestly,
most definitely play it. I would just
yes.
see what all the hype's about. But Ran, if it's not the best game I've ever played, then there will be consequences. Maybe.
What type of consequences?
You have to stream a Barbie game on Mixer.
Are we still going on with the Barbie stuff, Jez? Are we?
Oh, it's
Are
your
we still going on?
game. It's your favorite game. You're never gonna get away from that, man.
Yeah. I played Barbie, but before we get into the huge list of topics, I just wanted to ask you a question, Jez.
Hmm.
You love video games?
Do I love video games? A little bit, sometimes, every day,
Just sometimes.
every minute. Yeah, pretty much love video games. I'd say about half my dreams, maybe more than half, are set in various video game franchises because I am pretty obsessed and kind of sad. Like I always have. I'd say about a third of my dreams take place within Resident Evil, just the Resident Evil universe. I don't know why. I think it's because when I was a little kid, I played Resident Evil like so much that it's sort of ingrained in my subconscious now. That yeah. So you could say I love video games. Why do you ask?
Because I was just wondering, because I did a video yesterday just talking about how much I love video games, and everything I do on this YouTube channel, all the podcasts I do, all stems from my love of video games. I still get that feeling like when you start up a new game, whether it's a AAA game, whether it's a small indie, like when you first started up for that first time, I still get the excitement that I felt as a kid, when you get like a NES game and stuff. Like I always kind of sit there and be like, oh, like this is awesome. I can't wait to dig into this game. Now, of course, some wind up being good and then some wind up being terrible, but I still get that excitement, man. And I honestly think like I'll keep on playing games as long as that excitement still exists, because like if I ever start a game up and I'm just apathetic about it, then it's probably time to hang up the boots or the shoes or whatever the saying is. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I'm playing a game and I'm thinking, man, this isn't fun at all. And I feel apathetic towards it. I mean, those are bad games, right? And then a game like Prey comes along, and I'm just like mind blown all over again.
Mind blown.
I know a lot of people didn't like Prey, but it was just like my perfect game personally, the game that I want to play. And I know that Metro Exodus is gonna be that sort of style as well, sort of slow-paced shooter. Atmospheric, looting and sneaking around. That's the kind of shooter that I like. So I love when that stuff comes around, and I still get the hype, man. When they announced like Metro Exodus, I got the hype, and when they announced Elder Scrolls 6, I know I'll get hyped to the point of tears, probably.
The point of tears.
Not literal tears, like inside mental tears, maybe.
Right.
What franchise do you get the most hyped for?
I mean, Halo. I mean, it's my favorite franchise.
Still?
Even though there's been a lot. Yeah, I mean, may not right now because we don't know anything about 6, but I mean, I remember I really wasn't hyped for 5, and then 5, like I got 5, and it was like, oh my god, it's the next Halo, So Halo still does it for me. BioShock did it for me. Like I love BioShock 1 and 2, and then Infinite came out. That super hyped me up. Dead Space at one point. I mean, there's a lot of games, dude. There's a lot of games that do it for me, that get me excited. I just want to play good shit. Like really good games. Like whether they're Metro or whether they're like The Last Night or some small indie game. You know what I'm saying? Like I get excited, man. I still do, and that's why I do the podcast. We talk about these things because it all stems from my love for video games and your love for video games. And
Well, let's talk about Halo for a minute because we put
okay,
out an
okay,
article this week.
good transition.
Um,
Nice segue. Nice segue.
Well, you mentioned Halo, and we put out an article this week. One of our writers did basically what Microsoft need to do to improve Halo in Halo 6, blah blah blah, and it generated a lot of discussion. And then Mr. Tynex in chat just said Halo 5 had a really bad story, worse than the franchise. And then Miles S says multiplayer in Halo 5 is excellent.
It is.
I'm not a big Halo fan. I played all of them. I completed most of them on Legendary, and but it's never been a game that I get super excited for. As a big Halo fan, what do you think they need to do to improve on the franchise? Because I don't think anyone can disagree that Halo's sort of fallen out of the spotlight as the crown jewel of shooters.
Yeah.
So can they do something to reclaim that in Halo 6? And if so, what is it?
I'm not sure there's anything they can really do to reclaim that in this era now. Like, Halo used to be bigger than multiplats, but now the way the industry is set up, the multiplats dominate. Obviously, for Halo 6, you need to keep that awesome multiplayer intact. It still needs to be as good, if not better, than Halo 5's. So you need to improve. You constantly need to do more stuff. They need to nail the story this time. Okay, the story, there's been a lot of talk back and forth about if it was good or if it wasn't good. I enjoyed the story, but it was definitely on the lower end of the Halo games. And that's mainly because it wasn't about Master Chief. It was about some dude named Agent Locke who had no reason to be in the story whatsoever. There's no reason for him to be in that story. So when I play a mainline Halo game, I expect my experience to be with the Chief. He was in the game for 3 freaking levels, and the other 12 levels were Agent Locke. I don't care about Agent Locke. Get him out of the game. That whole marketing thing, I think also might have led to it. Like, the marketing was insanely good for Halo 5, but it had nothing to do with the actual game.
Yeah, I was hoping it would be like Master Chief centric, not Locke centric. And I think I read in an interview, I can't remember which one, but someone at Microsoft, it might have been Phil, they said they were surprised with how attached people are to Master Chief as a character. Maybe it wasn't Phil, maybe it was someone at 343, but
I think it was 343 that said that.
Yeah, you remember the quote. That's the main point.
No, I remember because I had heard. Remember when they did the tagline stuff like "Who you with? Who you got?" or whatever, hashtag Team Lock or hashtag Team Chief or whatever it was when the marketing hit. From what I was told, 343 was astonished to see that it was 90% Team Chief and 10% Team Lock. Like they were astonished, which I don't know what that says about the people working on Halo, that the fact that they didn't know people like Master Chief. So I want to return to a story of just Master Chief, a personal story that you can tell with him. Like, you can have other characters there with him, but he's the main character you play as. Agent Locke, if you want to make a spin-off game with him, then I'm all for it. But Halo's about Master Chief, his journey. You know what? I'm not going to say who the villain is this time, but they need to work on the campaign. To be honest with you, like it needs to be good, and the game, Microsoft needs to pour a lot of money. That is their flagship series, you know, and it needs to be presented and shown like the flagship series should be.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think the format of Halo is the problem now. I think we've moved past the idea of just a straight linear shooter. Personally, I mean, I can't think of any other games that are like Halo in this day and age, where all you do is move from corridor to corridor shooting things. I can't. I mean,
Call of Duty does that.
Well, Call of Duty is a bad game, but I don't mean like. Well, nobody likes Call of Duty's campaign either. You know,
I do. I like the last one. I thought it was great.
Yeah, but you know, they don't win game awards, do they, for their campaigns and stuff? I mean, like, think of like Wolfenstein and stuff like Doom, where it's like there's like a unique hook about it. Like Doom had you backtracking through levels sometimes. The levels were huge. There were things to explore, and the same with Wolfenstein. You know, there was loads of secrets everywhere, and there was stealth mechanics, and you know, tons and tons of different weapons and enemy types and that sort of thing. And in Halo, it's just so old school, you know, but not in a good way. I don't think.
No, yeah, it definitely is, and you know, that's something they have to come to grips with. I mean, it's I don't know, man. Like Halo's fallen since the Halo 3 days. You remember when Halo was one of the biggest franchises out there on any platform? It would outsell multi-platform games regularly.
Yeah.
And then what happened? I would assume Call of Duty happened, right? And people just got more like there was a time where people literally played multiplayer to play multiplayer. But now you play multiplayer to rank up and get XP and fill bars. And I think that kind of change when Call of Duty offered that like quick insta kill, fill up bars, prestige, RPG elements, that really kind of hurt Halo to a certain degree because Halo was always a methodical shooter. Like you could get shot first, but then you could still turn around and kill the enemy even though they got a drop on you. In Call of Duty, that's not really the case. And I think Halo suffered for it because after that, Halo 3, the next like Halo game was 3 years later for Halo Reach. And by that time, Modern Warfare was, had been done and it had blown up. And I think, those type of games had eclipsed Halo and Halo could never come back. And of course, Bungie left, right? And they kind of took some of the magic with them,
Well, imagine this, right? Imagine this. I mean, if Destiny is the natural evolution of Halo, as in you blend multiplayer and single player, and you add loot mechanics, you add RPG mechanics, but it's still a shooter at its core. Imagine if Destiny was actually just, I don't know, World of Halo or something, and you played as a random Spartan, and the game was basically what Destiny is, except instead of Guardians, you play it as a Spartan, and you were trying to save Earth from some new threat that had, destroyed almost the whole planet. Like it was basically the same game. Isn't that better than what Halo is now?
I mean, better is always subjective, though, right?
But that's like for me, that's how a franchise should evolve. I don't think like for example, like Resident Evil 7, for example. Resident Evil 7, they were like, okay, we can't just keep doing the same old third-person game over and over again, over and over again. We've got to do something to evolve the franchise and breathe new life into it. So they went first-person with Resident Evil 7, and it really breathed new life into the franchise now. And they can do a bunch of games that are going to be first-person, and it's going to be great. And they're going to remake Resident Evil 2 for the old school, for people who are fans of the old school Resident Evils. And I feel like the mainline Halo games, they need to evolve. They can't just be a co-op campaign shooter anymore. I think, and also I feel like the Halo fan base has sort of diverged a little bit. It's kind of like there are fans of Halo as a franchise, as in a story franchise, like with its characters and its co-op campaign, and then there are fans of the multiplayer. Like the multiplayer is the best part of Halo, right?
Yes.
The best part of Halo 5. But yeah. I think back in the day, you could say that the campaigns were as good and almost as good and exciting as the multiplayer.
Yeah,
like
people would play the campaign before they would hop online because they didn't want to be spoiled. I mean, people wanted to finish the fight in Halo.
Exactly.
2.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh my god, Halo 2." Like I need to know what's going on. But this is all. I'm sure they have these discussions all the time at 343 and Microsoft, Jez.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like how many developers are working on Destiny 2? It's something like 500, isn't it? Or something ridiculous.
It's like 800 or some shit.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount of people.
They have like they have Bungie working on the game. They have High Moon Studios working on it. They have Raven working on it. They have the studio that used to make the Skylanders games working on it.
Yeah, there's just no way. There's no way Microsoft Studios could match the numbers needed to make a sort of Destiny Halo game. But something needs to change about the formula to make it fresh again. And I'd say the same for Gears as well. I don't think Gears can survive just doing the same thing over and over again. As fun as Gears 4 was, and how much I enjoyed Gears of War 4, I don't think they can get away with doing the same thing time and time again, you know.
Mm.
And like Halo Storm 3 in the chat just says that Halo horror game would be cool. And there was like that rumor, wasn't there? Someone made a
Yeah.
Halo Photoshop thing called Halo Gravemind, which was like a horror game. That'd be cool. That'd be like something new and unique. I mean, sure, don't make it a Halo 6, but do a spin-off, you know.
Well,
And then
right, 'cause,
involve the ambition of the mainline series.
like, can you imagine like a Halo game kind of like, you know, after like Alien Isolation made by Creative Assembly, because they made that, but you got to like hide from the flood, or even like a Halo RPG or something like that.
Well, there
Just
wasn't Ensemble Studios were making a Halo RPG, weren't they? They were making a Halo MMO or something.
they might have been, yeah. There was a Halo MMO in the works,
Imagine,
which
imagine if Microsoft had actually beat Bungie to a Destiny-like sort of game. That would have
yeah.
been funny. But yeah, I think some sort of connected Halo game needs to happen. Whether it's on the same scale of Destiny or, you know, something just sort of Borderlands-ish, you know, just something needs to change in that franchise. And the same with Gears, man.
I mean,
think
yeah.
Gears needs to
I mean,
evolve.
Gears needs to change. I mean, you and I both heard Gears 4 did not do well.
No, Gears 4 underperformed, and you know, it was Forza Horizon that drove Microsoft to victory last year. And Microsoft didn't expect that. They expected it to be Gears, but it was actually Horizon 3 that did the business for Microsoft last year. So, like, if you remember, it was Gears of War that had all the marketing, you know, and the tie-in with Run the Jewels, and you know, they had like this massive party for it. Whereas the marketing for Horizon was pretty low key in comparison.
They
But
barely had any marketing for Horizon.
It should have been the other way around.
Yeah, I think they realized their mistake later on. But back to Halo, came out today for like or came out this week that Halo's getting an update for Xbox One X, like we all thought it would. It's getting the 4K treatment, and they're adding a bunch of the older Halo games to back compat. So like Halo
I'm
Combat.
surprised, actually. I'm surprised Halo 5's getting 4K update. I'm
Really?
actually, yeah, I'm sorry.
Ooh. How? I mean, this is like the flagship game. How are you surprised? I mean, I know it'd be 2 years old, you know, by the time you know, the X comes out. But like, if there's a game to get an update, it has to be Halo. It has.
Well,
It's, you know.
The reason I'm surprised is because it wasn't on PC. It wasn't a UWP game, so I thought maybe
Well,
the assets were
technically,
still
it's
in
on
there.
PC. Forge is on
Huh?
PC. The Forge thing, it's on PC.
Yeah, but the whole game itself isn't, which made me think that maybe there isn't 4K assets and that sort of thing. And it's kind of like, if they're bringing Halo 5 to 4K, that means the game's going to be UWP and have the change resilience stuff. And in that case, they need to bring Halo 5 to PC next.
Well, I mean, you know, I actually had people DM me about that. Do I think that Halo's going to make it the jump to PC? And you know, Microsoft has been trying a lot to get people to move to Windows 10 to try out the store. They put the Xbox Play Anywhere stuff. Like Halo 6 might be Microsoft's last and best hope to get some traction on the Windows 10 store, because Halo's their biggest franchise. People want Halo back on the PC. That would be a interesting way of getting that accomplished, is putting Halo 6 on PC. But I'm going to ask you about the 4K stuff, right? So, you know, I just want to mention real fast, all the games are coming to back compat. I think it was Halo 1 Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo, was it Halo 3, Halo 4, and ODST are all coming to back compat. Halo 4 is getting the 4K treatment. They mentioned true 4K, Jazz. So, I would assume it's going to be native 4K. But are they going to go back and redo all the assets and do 4K texture assets, or are they just going to do kind of like an up res thing?
No. They can't do an up res thing because if they don't go back and look at the textures, they will look awful on 4K, man. And this, I mean, as a basic example, this is what happened with Silent Hill HD collection, right? So they up-res the game, Silent Hill, the Silent Hill HD collection. They up-res the game, but they didn't up-res the textures. So the fog was like bugged, and you could see like, you know, the whole point of Silent Hill is the fog. Well, the fog wasn't up-res, so it just like it removed the fog from the game, which basically broke the gameplay. And they can't, because at full, and that was only like at 720p. So like, if they up-res Halo 5, which is 1080p, to 4K, which is a much bigger jump, you'll be able to see how the textures just won't look good when they're all stretched and stuff. They need to look at sorting out the textures as well.
All right. I mean, that. I mean, okay. So you think they'll do the textures and get all that stuff done? So are you kind of disappointed that they're not doing anything for the 10-year anniversary of Halo 3? Then, I mean, this is like one of Microsoft's biggest games ever. It's their biggest franchise, and it looks like they ain't doing shit outside of a playlist in Halo 5 or something. Like, isn't that kind of? I mean, they did an anniversary for Halo 1. They did an anniversary for Halo 2, but nothing for Halo 3. Isn't that? That's kind of, I don't know. Like, I feel that's
I don't know. They kind of set themselves up for failure there, because they, by calling the game's anniversary, they kind of set themselves up with this weird precedent that now they have to do an anniversary game for every Halo. Clearly, they don't have the resources to do that right now, or something. But
I really would have liked the Halo 3 anniversary.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know, man. I'd rather that they spent the resources on future games at this point.
So do you think they'll do anything to Halo the Halo Master Chief Collection, like any updates for X or anything, or is that game just kind of like sweeping under the rug? Don't want to remind anybody that Master Chief Collection exists. You know
what was so bad about Master Chief Collection? I mean,
didn't fucking work.
It worked fine for me.
Fucking work, Jazz.
It worked fine for me. I played every campaign in co-op, and it worked fine.
Okay, the campaign. If you wanted to just play the campaign, it was fine.
I played Halo 2
but the
multiplayer, and it worked fine as well.
I wanted to play the multiplayer where it was like the whole thing of that game was like, yeah, imagine playing a game in Halo 1, and then boom, next game it's Halo 4, boom, next game it's Halo 2. Right? That shit was broken, and it broke the multiplayer.
I played the Halo 2 multiplayer and MCC fine. I don't remember having any problems.
No, dude.
I didn't play that much, though.
Master Chief Collection was broke as fuck. Like, that game was just there. No, dude, that game was broken.
They should have just released the Master Chief campaign collection or something.
Yeah, I don't know. They should have just it should have just been Halo 2 Anniversary. They didn't. I don't know why they bothered with all the other Halos. Maybe they thought it would get more sales instead of just doing Halo 2 Anniversary with the multiplayer.
Oh, yeah, it's all about game preservation, isn't it? They want as many of their popular games onto the Xbox One ecosystem, because this is the one that's future proof now.
Yeah,
I guess.
Well, anyways, moving on. You know, Halo is a great franchise, but it makes a lot of money. It makes Microsoft a lot of money.
Cash money.
And well, Michael Pachter came out and said, "Hey, you know what, guys? Microsoft ain't leaving the games industry." I know a lot of you in chat who are Sony fans are probably crying in your Cheerios right now. They ain't going anywhere because the Xbox One makes a lot of money for Microsoft, and
cash money, more money than Windows,
and it ain't going nowhere. Now, Jez, I will say, when I first saw the story, I was like, "Oh shit, Microsoft is shutting down Xbox," because everything this dude says, the opposite happens, man. So I'm like, "Oh my god, he's saying." Okay, I know a broken clock is right twice a day, but like honestly, if you go back and look at some of his predictions, a lot of the exact opposite thing happened. So when I was like saw this, I'm just like, oh shit, Xbox is about to shut down because Pachter says it makes way too much money and they'll never shut down. But we were talking about this before the show, and you said you know, what you said that it would cost Microsoft way too much money to dismantle it to shut it down, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Xbox is it's integrated at every level with Microsoft's system now. You know, it's integrated with the Windows 10 store. It's integrated with the, the Windows 10 operating system itself. You know, it's integrated with everything. HoloLens, Windows 10 on ARM. It's integrated with everything they do. You know, and they sell game services over the cloud. I mean, Xbox is like it's completely within what Microsoft's vision is for the future of computing, which is cloud based, you know. And obviously, if you're going to sell cloud services, you need cloud content. And what better way to get cloud content than to license games, you know? Um, it's Microsoft's iTunes, man. Xbox is bigger than the Windows Store. Of course, they're not going to sell it. Anyone who thinks Microsoft is going to quit Xbox is a complete idiot.
A complete idiot.
A complete idiot. And they fail at life. And if they're in a position, if they're in a professional position as a journalist or something, they should quit because they don't know shit.
They don't know shit. That's straight from Jez. I mean, they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money on the Xbox Live. They get a 30% cut on the games sold on the system. There's a lot of money that they make, and you know, they're not going. I mean, it's like Pachter said in the thing. It's like, is Pepsi going to shut down because they don't sell as much as Coke, or is Burger King going to shut down because they don't sell as many hamburgers as McDonald's? And it just is that situation now. It's like PlayStation is the most popular. It sells the most systems.
But that's the thing. Does Xbox even sell less games than Sony?
Yes,
significantly. I don't think.
Well, I don't know about significantly, but they definitely sell less.
They definitely sell less, but I don't think it's significant. You know, and I speak to PR companies all the time, and I speak to people off the record at E3. People who are in the industry, and they see the games figures. You know, and there are people in the industry who tell me that they're not happy with how well Sony are marketing their own digital libraries. You know, and game developers want digital to be a thing because it means no trade-ins, which means no chewing up their profit margins, you know. And I think per capita, Xbox is the king of digital, you know. That's the impression that I'm getting from, you know, PR companies and people that I've spoken to. And I haven't seen the figures myself, so I can't say for sure. But I speak to people who have no personal, you know, these aren't console war fanboys. They're professional people. And if they're telling me that Xbox digital sales are better than Sony's, considering the install base, then I'm inclined to believe them.
Better watch what you say, man. Some people will say that you're just a fanboy, dude.
Well, they can. I don't care. I'll block you on Twitter as well.
Jez will. I won't block you. I won't block you. I don't block anybody. I have one person blocked because that dude is a fake piece of shit.
Who's that?
Fucking Iron Fraud.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. You know, if you do come at me with some stuff, like I've been getting a lot lately, which is actually kind of clever and funny. Like someone will send me a message on PSN or they'll send me a message on Twitter or Xbox. You know, I do the intro to all my videos. It's like, hey, I'm Randall Thor, man with the million, right? You know, like million gamer score, whatever. It's just a cool intro. It's what a fan said to me during TXR one time, and I took it. So now I'm getting messages like, you're Randall Thor, hashtag man with the million lies. So
man with the million lies.
I'm the man with the million lies now, apparently.
What the hell do you lie about?
I don't know. I'm the man. It's clever. I'll give him that. Like, you're the man with the million lies, Rand. You lie about everything.
Not that clever.
Well, I mean, you know, it's interesting. You know,
I don't know.
Man with the million lies. I'm like, oh, geez. So whatever. You know, I guess you're doing something right when you have people that hate on you. But
people don't people blocked, man. I know all about that.
I don't have them blocked. I'll mute you. So that's the thing. Like, I mute a lot of people that do that stuff. So I just kind of pretend that like these people that I've muted are still sitting there trying to send me stuff, but I'll never see it because I have them muted. So they spend their day tweeting Rand like, I'm gonna tweet this to Rand, hashtag man with the million lies. He's gonna ruin his day. Except I never see it, and you're just wasting your time, loser.
I block them because I don't like to give them the privilege of seeing my amazing tweets. If they want to see them, they'll have to log out. and I inconvenienced them.
Mm.
See, there you go. Jez, UB release sales, including digital, last fiscal report. PS4 46, Xbox One 30%. Considering the install base disparity, that's pretty good, I think.
Right.
Because there's not the difference in those digital sales is much smaller than the difference in install bases. Wouldn't you say?
See, I can't
Wouldn't
tell if this
say?
is sarcasm, but Halo Storm says, Rand, please, we all know you are an Xbox fanboy and you lie just like every Xbox fan ever. Oh my God. Sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen, sarcasm. You know, I mean, as far as like who sells the most, I think Sony, just on the basis of the fact that they have more systems, they sell the most. What's the attach ratio for each system? Only they know, only the companies know. But yeah, I mean, come on. Who really thought Microsoft would step out of the business if it's making them money? And I think that's all they really care about. I think
Cash
at one
money.
point they were interested in.
I mean, have you seen how many pairs of shoes Aaron Greenberg has? Of course, Xbox makes money.
He does have a lot of shoes. He does. Oh, yeah, what was I about to say, Jez? You ruined my train of thought. Now I don't have any thoughts in my head right now. You ruined it.
Well, we can just shut the podcast down.
You know, we don't want to shut the podcast down. Anyways, we have 212 people watching. Thank you so much. I see a bunch of people in chat like Protos, Mad Max, DJ Sing, The Gigs, a whole other bunch of people. I hope you guys are having a good time. Keep it civil, otherwise Jez will drop the ban hammer on you with the quickness. I'll time you out if you're, being bad.
I don't ask Rand if I can ban people on his channel. I just do it.
He just does. He just does. Hey, it is what it is.
I don't actually know if I'm allowed to ban people, but
hey, I mean, if they're being assholes, ban them. But got 211 watching, only 46 likes though. Come on, guys, hit that like button. So Microsoft's not going anywhere in the game business. I'm sure that people were disappointed by that. They want Microsoft to leave, but there's enough money here for everybody. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was the game gifting stuff. Because I think this is really cool and something that
I can't wait for game gifting.
I've wanted to have
so many Barbie games.
I know, dude. I'm gonna give so many people Soda Drinker Pro.
Oh
baby!
I'm just gonna gift people things to troll them.
I know, right? It's gonna be amazing. So, Mike Ibarra answered a question from a fan saying, like, "Hey, how far along or how far is it from Xbox One game gifting?" And Mike Ibarra said, "Not far." Now, Mike Ibarra, if you guys didn't know, is one of the corporate vice presidents of gaming at Xbox. He runs the whole platform basically. So what he says kind of goes, I've even had like Mike joke to me saying he really runs Xbox and not Phil. But don't tell Phil that. So I think this is really cool. Now Steam's had it for a while. And no other consoles has it. And I think this is great because I think it will, there's a lot of people out there who aren't as fortunate as a lot of other people. In my case, I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but because I have a YouTube channel and I cover a lot of indie games, a lot of developers will send me games and so on and so forth. But like earlier, like What Remains of Edith Finch, a game that I truly, truly adore, is coming out. And Jez says he had no interest in it. I would be like, you know what, Jez? Play this on me. Here you go, buddy. Play the game. And I'd make him play the game because I get it for him. But I can see that. I can see that taking off. I can see a lot of people being like, "Hey, I know you're having a bad month, whatever. Here, I'm gonna buy you this game, or I'm gonna buy you this game so we can play it together, things like that." I think that's really cool.
I can't believe it's not there already. It should have been there from day one. It's such
you probably got to think of all the different reasons why it's not there, right? Like for instance, if you buy a game but I already have it, so did they take your money already? And then when you send it to me and I already have it, how does that work? Does it automatically return to you and then refund your money? Or is there like, if you buy a game but I don't want it, like say, "Hey Rand, here's Barbie Horse Adventures 4," and you send it to me, but I don't want to accept it, because there's like the parental accounts, maybe like some creep dude sends a game to like some young kid or something.
Well, that's
I'm just saying you got to think about
parental blocking will stop
Right, but I'm
rather
saying
than
there's things you got to think about. Like, do I automatically have to accept a gift that you send me, or can I decline it? And when's the money taken? I'm sure there's a whole bunch of different issues they have to like work through on that regard, right?
Well, they could have done that before, man. They could have done it years ago. I mean, how many years are we into this gen now? 3 years? 4 years?
Almost 4, yeah,
God, the
4
Xbox
years.
One came out 4 years ago. Where's
I
time
know, right?
going, man?
I know,
Ugh.
right?
Well,
Uh,
this is another point that DJ Singh just raised. Is there a chance of Xbox digital trading? No, no. This is interesting because it's like there's two ways they could do this whole system, right? They could either do it like Steam, where you have like an inventory, and if you gifted a game, it goes into your inventory, and it's in your inventory until you use the game, or they can do it like how they do the digital gift card system, where they email you a code basically, and then you can do whatever you want with the code. Um, I think they'll do it the code way because it's the easiest way.
the
But
easiest way.
yeah, I mean it's the simplest way the simplest thing to implement. Just generate code and send it off. Midi Benny says Jez sounds better today. Good podcast so far. But what happened last week?
You were drunk last week, remember?
Oh yeah.
And then the week before, a lot of people said you were unenthused or whatever.
I wasn't even there the week before.
Oh well, yeah, exactly.
There's no possible way to sound less enthused than just not being there.
Yeah, Jez ghosted me on that podcast. He was just like, "Fuck, Rand, I'm done, son."
Oh God, I think I know what he's talking about. The week before then, I was in a bad mood for some reason. I think
Yeah,
I
you
just had
you came in like an hour late. My buddy DOA was we were
Oh
talking
right.
about
So
stuff.
I had an
Yeah,
argument with someone as well. I think. I don't know. I don't remember. But I'm loaded on caffeine instead of alcohol today, so maybe that's what it is. But anyway, digital trading's probably not going to happen.
dude, I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree, and I'll tell you why. Because when they first announced digital refunds, my first reaction is like, this is the first of 3 steps, right? First, digital refunds, which you can do automatically on the website for any game that you've played for less than 2 hours and have owned for less than 2 weeks, right? And then I immediately said, what's going to happen after that is going to be game gifting, and that'll be the second one. And then the final one will be digital trade-ins. They've already had
digital trading.
yes,
So
like they've already had surveys about this from Microsoft to like customers, and the thing was they would give you 10% of the value that you paid. Now you keep in mind that Xbox they take 30% of every sale. So when they say they would give you back 30% for you trading it in and not basically trading in the license, they're basically going to be taking off of their own share of the money. Obviously, the publishers still get their stuff, but the thing is that just like with the whole GameStop stuff last week, you buy all these games, you'd feel better about buying more digital if you have digital refunds in place, if you have digital gifting in place, and digital trade-ins, especially if you're done with the game or you think you're never going to play it again. Even if you buy a game for $30 and they only give you 10% back, they'll give you $3. Now, if you trade in a bunch of those games, the only place to actually use that money again is where? On the Xbox store to buy more digital games.
oh,
I think
I was going to say Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut, that'd be cool. But I honestly think that's the setup, and there's probably a whole set of stuff that they have to do. But I honestly think digital trade-ins will happen because they want to be more like PC, and they want to get more people.
Does Steam have digital trade-ins?
No, they don't. They don't. But they want to get more people to buy digital. And the one thing is like you have to get people comfortable with buying digital. And how you do that, and you do it how I just mentioned, refunds, gifting, and the eventual trading thing. There's people out there who maybe were like, you know what, I have 300 digital games, and regardless of the only 10% I get, because right now you get nothing, right? If you buy the game digitally, you get absolutely nothing. But imagine if you could get something. Imagine if, like, you know what, I want to buy the next $60 game out there. You have a couple digital games out there. Boom, you trade them into Microsoft. They give you some money back, and you buy that game. And then more and more people. I think it's going to come at some point.
I think if they do it that way, it could happen. But I'd be surprised if people would think 10% is good value. So I try.
It doesn't matter.
$60
10% is
$6.
If 10% is a better value than 0%, what you're currently getting.
Yeah, I don't know. Would anyone really want to trade in a game and get
Yes.
only 10%?
I mean, people go to fucking games. The people will buy a game from GameStop for $60, trade it in a week later, and get $20 for it, and they'll then, GameStop resells it for $50. People will always look for a way to get a product cheaper than what they can pay for it, and especially if you have a large like Gigs in the chat owns 900 Xbox One games. I know she'll never get rid of them, but like if she wanted to, or wanted to trade in 300 of those games, how much money would that get you? I mean, I have 700 games. I don't really replay a lot of my stuff. Like, I finished Black Default. I paid $15 for it. Sure, I could, if it was 10%, I traded it in, I get $1.50. But the thing is, I'm never going to play that game again. It's just sitting there doing nothing for me. Why not be able to trade it in and get $1.50 to go towards maybe something else I want to play? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe, man.
So, I mean, I think it'll happen. But it is kind of weird. Game gifting hasn't happened on any platform besides Steam, right?
Well, I'm getting sleepy. It's 11 o'clock. I don't think it has. I mean, you can gift games on Steam, but that's about it.
I mean, like, don't you think it's weird that it hasn't happened? Like, Sony hasn't done it, Nintendo hasn't done it. I think more people just buy more games.
I don't think it's weird Nintendo hasn't done it, because Nintendo is the slowest when it comes to features. I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised Xbox hasn't done it already. I mean, it's good that it's coming soon, but it's a simple way to add an extra revenue source. I gift games on a whim. I have gifted games because sometimes games. You can buy digital keys for games on Amazon sometimes, very rarely in the UK. I've done that before, and I've purchased. And when we do giveaways on Windows Central, we always buy digital keys from Amazon.com, which does sell keys sometimes for games, but not all games. If you could digitally gift the games, it'd be so much easier than me having to bug someone on Windows Central to go to Amazon, buy a digital key, get the key, and then whisper the key to someone else on a mixer and stuff. If I could just say, "Yo, give me your gamer tag," and then boom, gift like that. That'd be awesome. And I'd buy you loads of Barbie games.
I know. I mean, I was gonna say if you actually would actually gift me anything, but you probably would just troll me with some crappy games like the Barbie games. Thank God there's no Barbie games on the Xbox One though. So.
There's no Barbie games on the Xbox One?
No, there
have
is
you looked?
no.
You've looked, haven't you?
I know. Like,
how else would you know that? How else would you know that?
Because I know everything about Xbox, Jazz. I literally know every game that's on the Xbox. I know my wealth of knowledge is from Xbox. I know less about PlayStation and even less about Nintendo. But like, my knowledge is all about the Xbox. I know every game that's on the Xbox. There is a horse racing game on the Xbox you can play. It's freaking terrible.
Dude,
but there's no Barbie games
on Xbox.
Not on the Xbox
One.
Oh,
no, they're movies.
Not on the Xbox One.
There's 35 Barbie movies. Do you own these movies, Rand?
No, I do not own Barbie movies. No.
I'm just going to go through these Barbie movies real quick. So we've got Barbie Fairytopia, which is $2.49. You've got Barbie A Perfect Christmas. Something to gift someone for Christmas. I hope they bring digital gifting for movies as well, because that'd be amazing.
I'm sure there's probably a lot of red tape for that. Because like, what happens if I buy you a movie that's not supposed to be in the UK or whatever?
Well, obviously it'd be reason restricted. But imagine, right, if I could buy you Barbie and her sisters in a ponytail, which is $3.49. Come out in 2013.
You know what? Let's move on from gifting before Jez gifts me every Barbie movie in existence or Smurf movie or whatever.
It's got a trailer. Can you hear that?
Yeah. We can hear it. We can hear it. Now, some of the other things that came out this week was well, before I get into this, I want to ask about the pre-order stuff. Xbox One X pre-orders, Jez. I want to know, when are they happening, bro? Like, what is going on with the pre-orders? Why can't I put my pre-order down for Xbox One X?
Well, I got
What's
bad
going
news.
on, dude? Oh
It's
no, don't
because
say it.
Microsoft is selling Xbox. They're getting out of the industry. It's dead, man. That's why there's no pre-orders.
But you just said earlier that they weren't.
I was just damage controlling, man. I was being
Is
Xbox.
was that like you saying Star Wars Battlefront's native 4K 60, but it's really like checkerboarded 4K 30?
Well, uh, well, it's Xbox One X enhanced. That might be 4K 60.
Enhanced. Ooh. Xbox One enhanced. So I don't know if you listened to the Major Nelson podcast last week. He said that the team is working hard on the pre-order stuff, and there'll be surprises or a surprise or whatever. What could they possibly do to surprise people? And why is it taking so long to get this stuff ready? You think we're going to see?
I asked Mike Nichols at E3. I asked him, and he's in charge of marketing for Xbox. And I asked him if there would be any special editions for the Xbox One X, like the Gears of War Xbox One S. And he just sort of smiled coyly and said, "Yeah, we might have some surprises there. You have to stay tuned." So I think there could be something like that coming.
So what? You said there might be another SKU?
I think basically what the delay, part of the delay is probably they're lining up some special editions, some special bundles and stuff, locking down deals and that sort of thing. Maybe I don't think it's necessarily. I don't think there's a problem. I mean,
No, I'm not saying there's a problem. I mean, obviously it's not been approved for FCC, but I'm saying what could be the surprise? Like, is they going to be like, surprise, bitches, Xbox One X for $400? And you thought it was going to be 500, but it's 400. Surprise! That'd be a good surprise, right?
That'd be pretty unlikely.
Unlikely, sure. Or are they going to be like, surprise, bitches? There's a SKU that's $600 fucking dollars.
well, there is that aspect of it. I mean, do you think that? I mean, that's one of the things I asked. Would there be multiple SKUs with different hard drive sizes, and that's a possibility as well. I mean, it's got to ship with the terabyte, right?
Yep, 1 terabyte, so like 900 gigs of free space or whatever. Actually,
yeah. So do we think there'll be a 2 terabyte SKU, 3, 4, 5 terabyte SKU?
Nah, the highest they'll go is 2. If they do want to be a 2 terabyte SKU with probably a game and maybe an extra controller for $600, I think you start approaching $600. You best be thinking like, I don't know about that. You approach that number. That's Sony PS3 level numbers right there. You know, like you don't want to say $599. I think they're gonna have. If you remember, a year ago in January of 2006, they introduced this thing called Name Your Game. And you could buy the system, and you could choose from one of 5 digital games. I think you might see something like that. I think what they might do is they might actually throw a game in there with the Xbox One X to kind of like offset some of the cost of the $500. So like you buy the system, and you can choose from Forza Motorsport 7, you could choose from Crackdown 3, you could choose from Shadow of War, you could choose from Assassin's Creed Origins, or you could choose from Super Lucky's Tale or something like that. And then, you buy the system and then you input the code and you get the digital game. I think something like that possibly could happen. I think it'd be cool if it did. I wouldn't be surprised also if there's a Crackdown 3 edition at some point. Like that kind of seems like a good game to bundle in. Wouldn't you agree? Somewhere.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't think Crackdown 3. I don't know. I think Forza Horizon 7. We're not that far yet. Forza Motorsport 7 is going to be the flagship title for this year. So wouldn't there be like, I mean, what was that car they announced? Was it a Porsche?
Yeah, it was a Porsche. Yeah, it was a
now
Porsche.
They've been doing a lot of work with Porsche recently. They've released like there's a Porsche Windows 10 laptop now. I don't know if you've seen this. So what if there's
no.
What if there's a Porsche Forza Edition Xbox? I think that'd be cool.
I don't know. So you think the big game for them this year is gonna be Motorsport though?
Definitely. I would say so. Well, Shadow of War as well.
Yeah, but Shadow. I mean,
that's
the problem. Shadow of War comes out in October. I mean, I know it's like a month from the system, but
and it's a multiplayer.
And it's a multiplayer. And Assassin's Creed is like the week before or a week and a half before. Man, there's a lot of stuff coming out October 27th. I don't know if you see this. You have that Super Mario Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins, freaking Wolfenstein 2, and the second season of Stranger Things. Oh, man.
I've
So
never
much
seen
to...
Stranger Things.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, I'm hella serious, bruh.
Dude, you take
How's
you and your
that?
girlfriend, spend a nice night, and just binge watch Stranger Things on Netflix.
Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill, yeah.
That's what the kids call it, right?
You know, get the whiskey, you know, like...
I never have time to Netflix and chill. I just have to Xbox and write. That's my life.
Xbox and write. That's boring. Hey,
I mean,
so how did your article where you outed the Killer Instinct phone game turn out?
Not many people were interested. A lot more people were interested in the Eden Falls one, though. Surprisingly. You know, it's really funny. I've got Eden Falls installed on my phone, and I got a notification this morning saying, "Your town in Eden Falls needs help. Log on now." You know, like one of those annoying Farmville notifications.
Oh, geez, really?
Eden Falls literally gave me a notification telling me to play it, even though the game doesn't work. So, like, they got the important bit down with the notifications, but the rest of the whole game doesn't work. But yeah, the Killer Instinct boxing game was actually pretty fun. I've got it here somewhere. Where is it? TJ Combo Killer Instinct TJ Combo Boxing. It was called, and it was yeah, it was like a prototype boxing game, and it played like Super Punch Out. If you ever played that on the Super Nintendo, you just basically like tap the screen to punch and block, and like do a long press to block. And it told TJ Combo's origin story from Killer Instinct, but it never really left the prototype stage. But it's pretty. It's back from a time when Microsoft actually cared about making Windows Phone a thing.
Yeah, they stopped caring about that. Now I got a question for you, Jez. I got a question for you. You know, the Game Lab stuff for console for the controllers are very popular. People love getting their little new controllers and all the different colors and things like that, right? My question to you is, if Microsoft ever offered a console version of that, where you could buy a console from them and they would spice it up with all the different colors, and say it was an extra, I don't know, $150 to do it, or $200, would you use that to get a console made to your liking directly from Microsoft?
I definitely would. I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people in chat will agree. Imagine if the design lab came to console. I think that's gonna happen. You know, it's inevitable. It's the natural evolution of the design lab. Like they and clearly they are interested in developing the design lab because they added the new colors recently with the metallic. Imagine if you could get an Xbox One X that was sort of like metallic bottom, and then like, I don't know, black on top or silver or something, and it was like a robot Xbox One X. That'd be sick.
Yeah, because like Colorware does stuff like that, but it's really expensive. You can ship them your console, or you can buy one directly for them. Like, I was like thinking like, man, wouldn't it be cool? Like, because I see people in the chat saying like, hey, Rand, do you think they'll do other colors for the Xbox One X? And of course they will. Like right now it's in black, right? I expect there to be different colors in a year from now. Like look at Sony and the PS4. They just announced a new color for the Pro, and they bundled it with Destiny 2 because they knew people want the white version of that system, and they'll make people pay for that, right? I think Microsoft will do that in a year from now or something, you know, where they'll have maybe a white version of the Xbox One X or custom colors. But imagine if you could do it yourself and you could just buy it from them, and here's 30 colors you can choose from and all this different stuff, and you can really because Microsoft's all about personalization. Personalize your controller, personalize your dashboard with, you know, I would assume which is going to be a visual redesign with the reintroduction of avatars, right? What better way to do the ultimate is like personalize your console. You want a red one with blue highlights? You want a black one with purple highlights? You want a purple console with pink highlights or whatever? Like the ultimate expression, like have that console. I think that'd be really cool.
Barbie console.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew you were going to go there. A Barbie console.
No, but seriously, you know, I think like colors are important, you know. I think Microsoft have kind of realized that. Like they've realized it with Surface, and one of the selling points of Surface is the fact that you can get different colored keyboards, you know. And when they do the marketing for Surface, and they're doing like, you know, they do the marketing towards men with the dudes wearing suits, and they got like black keyboard covers, and then they do the marketing to women, and they've got like, you know, they're fashionable and they've got red keyboard covers, you know. It's simple things like that which, you know, can make it more inclusive. And for example, I got my girlfriend a pink Xbox controller, and you
Hmm.
know, my girlfriend's a girly girl and she likes pink, she loves pink, and she's more inclined to play Xbox now for the pure reason she's got a pink controller, you know. And if you get like your little kids a pink controller, or you know what their favorite color is, it feels more personal, you know.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
makes you feel more invested in the ecosystem. So I do think customizable consoles is definitely a good idea and definitely should happen. So if Xbox is listening, I'll take 2% commission for the idea. Thank you very much.
2%. Well, maybe you could. Maybe you know how they do have those things for the designs for the controllers. If someone uses it, you do get a cut. Maybe you could design a console
A
and get a
Barbie
cut,
console.
a
But
Barbie console.
Geordie Tommy would make a killing.
Yeah, he would. He definitely would. Um, but speaking about consoles, we're going to talk about the next generation. We're going to talk about, because you know we got the Xbox One X coming out, but everybody's talking about the PS5 for whatever reason. And the one and only Michael Pachter, who we talked about earlier in the episode, he mentioned that the PS5 will be out in 2019. He said it'll be a half step from the PS4 Pro, and that it will feature PS4 Pro backwards compatibility, launched in 2019, and that Microsoft and Sony are locked in a T-flops war.
T-Fla.
Jez, are they locked in a T-flops war? Do they have their T-flops all locked up?
I don't know, man. I don't know if they're in a T-flops war. I think they're just sort of like I think what Microsoft have been quite clever here. They've sort of said we're giving Sony the console war, quote unquote, and now we're just going to serve our audience and make it an ecosystem war. So for people who are Microsoft are kind of lucky that it was them who really put out the, you know, the sort of impressive, demonstrably graphically superior console. As people are starting to realize that we're no longer in a generational war. We're transitioning to a smartphone like model where your content comes with you. So for people who are really, you know, people who really do care about their visuals and stuff, if they want to have the best console visuals for the next 2 years, they don't have a choice. They have to get a PlayStation. I mean, they have to get an Xbox, sorry. And when they have an Xbox One X, they'll become locked into that ecosystem. And you know, the when the PlayStation 5 rolls around in 2 or 3 years, uh, it won't be such a big deal because Microsoft can just say, you know, Microsoft can announce the next Xbox again when Sony announces the next PlayStation, and Sony says, yeah, it's going to be 10 teraflops. Microsoft could announce, yeah, our next box is coming out next year, and it's going to be 12 teraflops or something like that. So and then the people who are satisfied with the Xbox ecosystem, they'll be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just wait for that one then. You
Yeah,
know?
but are we locked in an internal? Is this going to be? Are we basically looking at a new system every 3 years? Then, like Sony comes out with the one in 2019, Microsoft comes out with the Xbox One X or the Xbox One Double X in 2020, right? Sony comes out with the PS5 Pro in 2022. Microsoft comes out with the Xbox One Triple X in 2023. Sony comes out with the PS6 in 2025. You know, like, are we? Is this like our future? Is this just a new
Yeah,
console every 3 years? I
that's
mean,
the future. You know, that is the future, and your games will work across all consoles. You know.
I would imagine at some point the games on the Xbox One Double X won't work on the Xbox One S.
I mean, eventually there'll be a cutoff point, and it'll be like iPhone. You know, I mean, there's apps that run the iPhone 7 that won't run on your iPhone 2 or whatever. You know, at some point things do get end of lifed. You know, but that's life. You know. So, but it's going to be. it's going to be blurred. You know, it's going to be like smartphone apps. You know, there's apps that, you know, I've got an Android 1.6 phone in my drawer somewhere. And what version of Android are we on now? Like, I don't know, 15 or something. There's that apps for modern Android just won't run on Android 1.6, and luckily no one's using Android 1.6 anymore. So it'll depend on whether people are using those consoles or not. And but the thing is, it's not totally the same either, because, you know, games can be optimized to be change resilient. So, like, for example, Resident Evil 7 and Doom can run on really low end hardware because they're so well optimized. You know, I don't know if
Hmm.
you've seen Doom. The latest Doom can run on a Surface 3 pretty well if you lower the settings. You know, an Overwatch can run on a Surface 3 at like 40 frames per second, which ain't bad for a Surface 3, which is a tablet, which is an Atom processor. You know, which isn't Atom processors are not desktop grade processors by any means, and it's got integrated graphics, and yet Overwatch does run pretty well on it, just because it's got sort of cartoony graphics, and it's very, very well optimized because Blizzard are a superior developer. So it's not totally the same situation as it is with some mobile phones, but yeah, there will be a cut-off point eventually, but it's not going to be as clear cut as it is with phones, I don't think.
See, here's the problem I have with all this is that I mean, at some point you're going to reach the point of you know, diminishing returns on all this stuff. You can even say you've reached it now, but at some point, whether the PS5 comes out in 2019 and it has a Ryzen CPU like some people say it will, and it has 10 teraflops, like, you could do, maybe you could do 4K 60, but at that point, like, if you have a system, whether it's the Xbox One Double X or the PS5 Pro, in 5 or 6 years from now, or whatever the fuck it would be, doing games at 4K 60, like, what's left after that? You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, 8K is 8K the next after that, but then, like, they don't make 8K TVs, and
Well, yeah,
definitely.
there will be diminishing returns, you know, and it'll just move up to where technology gets to, you know. And the thing is, PC has sort of inspired this, you know, and the PC market is the biggest gaming market, right? Well, not counting mobile phones, but I don't consider smartphone games to be real games. So let's look at PC. People who want the best visuals, in theory, they have to get a PC, you know. And Microsoft is saying, well, now that we've got x86 consoles, why can't we have games that scale up to 4K on console if people are willing to pay that premium, you know? And there's no reason you can't do that now. And it's no different for PC. If you want to have 4K 60, Witcher 3 at max settings, you've got to fork out the cash, man. I couldn't run that on my Razer Blade, you know? So that's the model that's the model that's coming. It's basically what Microsoft is saying is that if Xbox fans want to have as good as PC fans have, then we're going to try and provide that. I mean, Xbox One X is not as powerful as a PC with two 1080 Ti's in Crossfire. You know, it's not that powerful, but but there's no reason it couldn't approach that level.
Right. Well, okay. See, I think at some point all that will stop, because I don't think that's going to happen. I think, like, the future of gaming is basically PlayStation Now. And hear me out. I think at some point, whether it's 10 years from now or 15 years from now, wherever, all you're going to be buying from Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo is a stick you stick into your TV, and that you play games from a server. I think at some point it won't be, I don't know, feasible to constantly put out these boxes. And I honestly think Mixer is Microsoft's long play in this,
Well,
because
yeah. I mean, I wrote an article about this. I mean, I was playing Mixer one day. I was streaming on Mixer one day, and I was watching my own stream. And now this was off peak, early morning, so there wasn't many people on Mixer lagging it out, and there wasn't many people on Mixer lagging it out either. And I was streaming Torment Ties of Numenera, and it was almost 1-to-1, you know. Like I moved my character on the Xbox, and it moved almost instantly on Mixer. And I was thinking, this is the future, and this is why they purchased Mixer, is because Mixer has ingest servers all over the world, which are currently being upgraded to Windows Azure, by the way, and they're being massively expanded, and the speed's been improved. And Mixer isn't just about competing with Twitch; it's going to be eventually about competing with PSN. You're completely right, Rand. That PSN probably is the future, some form of not PSN, sorry, PlayStation Now is probably the future, and it's that's how it's going to be in the future, where we just basically we take our all of our content with us, no matter what screen we're using, whether it's virtual reality implants in our brains or streaming off a phone or whatever. We will stream all of that from the internet, which is another reason why Microsoft is getting into the internet delivery game. It's why Microsoft have installed huge cables across the Atlantic, which they own, and it's why Microsoft are researching TV white space as a method for delivering internet. So if Microsoft not only provides internet for people but also the services as well, then that probably is where Xbox is going. But the thing is, they still need the games. They still need the
obviously there's the content and stuff like that. Because when I was thinking about this, I'm like, okay, assume Patcher's right. Assume PS5's 2019, right? So that's 2 years. What is the price of the Xbox One X going to be in 2 years, Jez? Because Sony, I think, has seen the value in launching a console at $400, right? So I'm going to say they're not going to screw up, and I think the PS5 will launch at $400. In 2 years' time, how much is the Xbox One X going to cost?
I don't know, man. $150 off, maybe.
So PS5 will be $50 more expensive than the Xbox One X. So that's where you kind of run into this thing when you think about this. It's like, man, if you figure a $50 price drop next year for the X, so it'll be $450, and that's 2018, and then a $50 price cut the year after to $400. Like, if the PS5 launches at $400, that's essentially the same price as what the Xbox One X will be, and the PS5 will be.
What if Microsoft releases an Xbox One XX, Xbox One XS, like an Xbox One XX Slim? So
in 2019.
It looks fresh, but it's cheaper as well. Basically, do with the Xbox One X what they did with the Xbox One S last year. Because let's not forget that Microsoft beat Sony in sales for the second half of last year because the Xbox One S had differentiation and it was cheaper. So
yeah, but then Sony
Microsoft's in a pretty good position, man.
Yeah, I mean, but that's right. But to be fair, though, Sony's outsold Microsoft by almost 500,000 the first half of this year, though. So any gains that Microsoft made,
for real.
I mean, is gone. But I was thinking about that. I was like, man, because 2019 is 2 years away. The system's $500. Sony launched it at $400. I mean, like, you're talking about $50 off. Like, Xbox One X and the PS5 at the same price, and PS5 would be demonstrably better at that point.
Is 8K TV going to be a thing then?
Is what?
Are 8K TVs going to be a thing?
Not 8K, but I mean, look, like, because people tout the 6 is greater than 4 narrative, right? Like, 6 is greater than 4. We have 40% more power in the Xbox One X, but then, like, imagine if the PS5 has 10 teraflops, so it's 10 greater than 6. And then imagine if, like, the PS5 actually is rocking a new CPU like Ryzen and not the Jaguars that this current gen is rocking. You're talking about a system that is probably way better, and it'll be the same price, which is, like, astounding to me. So I'm sure Sony knows when they're going to launch the next. Maybe it'll be 2020, because 2020 is the 25th anniversary of PlayStation. Maybe that's the year you launch it, and then maybe Microsoft also has a console, because when you think about, like, other stuff, and I was thinking about, like, 2019, I'm like, man, is Microsoft in a hard spot? Because I mean, I know Phil has said, which I disagree with, that the Xbox, that the PS4 Pro isn't competition to the X; it's competition to the S, which I think is just PR speak. Like, I think the Pro is competition to the X. They're both high-end consoles.
I agree.
I think they're both high-end consoles, the premium flagship titles for both systems, and they both play games better. Yeah, you can say one is better than the other, but like I I don't think the S and the Pro compete. So like if you get in a couple years and the X is 400 and the PS5 is 400, well, like that's a I don't know, that's a bad comparison for Microsoft at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like just the price wise, I don't know. It's going to be plus the back compat thing. I think it's hugely important now. I think Microsoft has shown everybody how hugely important it is. And with everybody buying more digital, I think that PlayStation has to do back compat. And if they don't, like just say they pull a typical Sony and they're like, fuck backwards compatibility. I think that's like a huge blunder.
Well, they've got a problem there because the PS1, and they could emulate PS1 probably pretty easily, and to be honest, they could probably emulate PS2 pretty easily as well when the PS5 comes around. But they're going to struggle really hard to emulate PS3 anytime soon, and I would expect that when the PS5 launches, it's going to be really the PS3, which is the emulation you're going to want really. I think like there are diminishing returns. Although I'm going to say right now, if the PS5 has backwards compatibility with PS2 and PS1, I will buy one day one, baby. But but I think I agree with Jim Ryan, in a sense that he said that who wants to play this old game? I do think there are diminishing returns there. I think PS2 games and PS1 games are going to be a hard sell. You can play like an Xbox 360 era game, like Red Dead Redemption has held up incredibly well, for example. And you might want to go back and play Red Dead Redemption before you play Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. But am I really gonna want to go back and play like, I don't know. I mean, would I buy a console just to play PS1 and PS2 games, if I was a mass market consumer? I don't think so. So I think Sony's going to struggle to emulate PS3 because the architecture was so weird. So I don't know. Man.
It's interesting to think about because I want everybody to do well. I want Xbox to sell as much as it can. Same thing with PlayStation and Nintendo and PC because I want them to make more games so I can play and enjoy them. But it's interesting to think because like in that scenario, it's like, man, could Microsoft, even though like they think they have a one up on Sony right now, what if they screwed themselves long term?
Well,
like
the thing about Sony is that their focus is gaming, so they have amazing first party studios. Like the Horizon Zero Dawn was amazing. I haven't played it myself, but obviously it was amazing because it's sold ridiculously well, and amazing for a new IP to sell that well. And it looks like a genuine high quality AAA game. But when I look at Crackdown 3, I see a game that looks really fun, but honestly, it's not photorealistic, and it doesn't really compare to Horizon Zero Dawn in terms of visuals, which Microsoft have said is a reason why people buy consoles. Now, I think one question that still hangs over Xbox is, can they deliver AAA photorealistic, mature rated games? Can they deliver that? And I think that's always going to be the question that hangs over Xbox, at least in the near term. I mean, yeah, they're going to have all these teraflops. But can they deliver the games that Sony can deliver? That's the big question. And I think that's the question that Microsoft needs to be working on right now.
Well, I mean, Phil did say he just signed some deals, right?
Yeah, but they're all second party. Second party.
I know.
Again, second party is like it's not as important as first party because second party deals go wrong, and second party devs want to do other things sometimes. It's like if you get a second party on board to make a game, and then the game doesn't work out, we get situations like Quantum Break, which pretty much ended on a cliffhanger. We're never going to get a sequel to Quantum Break. We are never going to see the real end of Quantum Break ever, because for whatever reason Quantum Break didn't sell very well, and as a result Microsoft don't want to risk funding a sequel. But whereas like Sony, Sony seem to understand that sometimes a great concept needs a second game, um, or it needs a second chance and that sort of thing. Like Recore, we never see a Recore who we'll never see a Recore that gets the budget and the studio it deserves, you know. And that's not to slight Armature, you know, but they're not a big dev, you know. They don't make huge photorealistic games, which is kind of what I was expecting Recore to be from the trailer they put out and it's announced. Was you
Yeah.
expecting it to be more than what it was?
What, Recore?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
From the initial CGI trailer.
Oh yeah, from the initial CGI trailer, yeah, I expected more. But then I knew that something was up when the next trailer they showed at the next C3 was just like, you know, a 5-10 second thing. And I was like, I'm like, okay, well, like, yeah, but no, that CGI trailer was incredibly well done. It just, you know.
That's the impression I've got of Microsoft now. Is that they put out these amazing CGI trailers, like Phantom Dust CGI trailer, look badass. A Scalebound CGI trailer, look badass. Rico CGI trailer, it looked badass. And all three of those games failed to live up to expectations, and two of them didn't even launch. You know, so Microsoft. If we are moving to an ecosystem war between now and the PS5, Microsoft has to prove that it can deliver the ecosystem that can match up to their teraflops, you know? That's how I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Microsoft's first party this gen has been Halo, Gears, and Forza. I mean, the only one that's really doing something different is Rare. I mean, they're doing Sea of Thieves, but like Turn 10 and all those guys, they're only doing Forza, and 343 only does Halo and Gears.
That's the thing, and those games, and that's the thing. People get down on Halo and Gears because we expect them to be the same every single game, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about how Halo and Gears needs to evolve because we have grown to have certain expectations of Microsoft now. We've grown to have an expectation that Forza is going to be a racing game, you know. It's going to be a great racing game, but we know it's going to be a racing game. We know Halo is going to be this. We know what Halo is going to look like, you know, and we know what Gears of War is going to look like. It's going to have roadie run. It's going to be a cover shooter. It's going to have chainsaws, and it's going to have loads of blood. But there's never any new. There's never any like. I don't know. I was really disappointed with Gears when Rod Ferguson said to evolve a franchise, you have to betray fans' expectations. Did you feel like Gears of War betrayed any expectations?
No, not at all. And the Gears of War played it as safe as it could. Maybe that's what they wanted to go for because they wanted to make sure that to show fans that Gears it was in a good spot, and maybe they take those the risks in the next Gears game. You know?
Yeah, but why say that? Why say we need to betray fans and then not do it? It's really annoying. And now it's like, so if that's what their definition of betraying fans is like, then I've got no hope that the Gears 5 will evolve, you know. So that's the thing. I don't have a huge amount of faith in Microsoft's first party, but as someone who doesn't really care that much about Forza, and I don't really care that much about Halo, and I just really like Gears because I like chainsaws and sawing people in half and stuff. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the multiplats. But as someone who's on the fence between PlayStation and Xbox, you know, you have to admit that PlayStation, even if the PlayStation lineup is nowhere near as close as the Xbox lineup is, it looks higher quality. Let's say that, you know. You know, Last of Us 2 is going to be good. You know, God of War is going to be good. You know, the other game's going to be good. I can't even remember what it is now.
The other games, you're like, yeah, it doesn't really matter because the game that's going to be the best is Ori and the Will of Wisps.
Well, the Ori and the Will of Wisps is going to be amazing, but that's second party.
I know. Second, it's still, and in that game, I think that game's 2019 as well. I think that's the thing. Like Phil was like, I don't want to show games too far out, but that game's 2 years away. You know what I mean?
Will of the Wisps is 2 years away.
I have this feeling that game is March of 2019. Yeah, that game's not next year.
that's fine because you know it's going to be good. You know,
Well, yeah.
it looked pretty good, and the studio, it's basically going to be Ori and the Blind Forest, but with a slightly bigger budget. You know, so you know that game's going to be good. But again, it's a side scroller. You know, it's not. It's an amazing game, but I don't know if it's a system seller. You know,
Mhm.
it's those third person action games that seem to be system sellers, and the photorealistic mature games with blood and guts, which entice the mature gamers who've got lots of money to spend. You know, and they're the ones who influence the little kids, I guess. I mean, I don't know why kids buy consoles these days. All kids want is GTA. They want to play GTA with their friends and Call of Duty with their friends. That was it.
And
Spider-Man.
Minecraft. Don't forget about Minecraft.
That's true, but you can play Minecraft on literally everything.
I know, but that's what people want to play. Now, Jazz, Lawbreakers, I wanted to switch this real fast.
No.
Uh, what? You're like, I'm leaving the call? Well, anyways.
No, I know what you're gonna say about
Oh,
Lawbreakers because I saw the.
did you see this? Lawbreakers could flop based on the player counts from the Steam beta.
Yeah.
I'm reading this thing. So it says, began on June 28th, and over the course of its 8 days in Steam, the beta brought in a peak of 7.5 thousand players in a single hour, the daily averages reaching as high as 3.5 thousand players.
Ooh,
Those lower than expected numbers were only enough to rank Lawbreakers as high as number 73 on Steam's list of most played games last week. They said it's probably more going to be like Battleborn and all this other stuff. With the beta having, it says, with the beta having 80% less players than Paladin's first week in early access, the numbers for Lawbreakers actually aligned more with one of last year's biggest flops, Battleborn. Gearbox's failed attempt to go head-to-head with Overwatch debuted with an average of 4.5 thousand players per hour last May, and is now dangerously close to dropping below 100 players per hour. That's right. Fucking Battleborn gets almost close to less than 100 players per hour playing it.
Really? But I don't get that because they're still releasing updates for Battleborn.
Yeah, well, nobody cares. So, is Lawbreakers going to be a flop on PC? I mean, who knows how well it'll do on PlayStation? Is Who's Cliffy B going to blame if it is a failure? Because
it's going to fail.
Because this year, this gen, if you have a huge beta, the game ends up being huge. Like Ghost Recon's beta was massive, and Ghost Recon's the best-selling game. For Honor's beta, all the stuff they did, huge. Game sold extremely well. Division, Destiny, all these games, you have extremely huge betas, the game sells well. You have a small beta like Battleborn, game doesn't sell. So, Cliffy B, what's going on here, bro? Is your next game about to fail? What's up?
It's what I'm interested in is if Lawbreakers does fail, is that Cliffy B going to retire? Because he's already retired from the industry once.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
But the thing is, you can't count things out anymore because it's like I remember when Rainbow Six Siege came out and it was buggy, the servers were broken, and it got medium to okay reviews, and then they turn it around, and it's one of the most popular shooters out there at the minute, service-based shooters, so anything can happen. I don't want to write off Lawbreakers now, especially because I haven't played it myself. But the thing about Lawbreakers is it's going to get compared to Overwatch left, right, and center, which is a constant success story. And it's like, if I was a dev, I wouldn't even dream of trying to take on Overwatch unless I was going to do something like free to play, like Paladins or something, Cliffy B's got an uphill struggle, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the exclusivity thing, from what I understand, is he was basically looking for funding, and Sony was the one who gave him the funding.
People will say that Cliffy B chose the superior fan base that is the PlayStation 4, and money had nothing to do with it, even though I know the opposite is real.
It's money's makes the industry go around, but
Honestly, if you think about it, Jez, I think Microsoft made the better decision here. If presented with option A, Lawbreakers, or option B, PUBG,
Oh
they
god,
went with PUBG. I think they made the better choice on that one.
yeah, PUBG is it's a phenomenon. You know, it overtook Counter Strike briefly on Steam, which is a phenomenal achievement.
It's
So
like the fourth most played or third most played game
yeah,
on Steam right now. It's just freaking Gopher. That's all he plays now, dude. That's all he plays.
yeah. PlayerUnknown's
Like,
Battlegrounds Protoss. It is it's it's like Hunger Games, isn't it? Really, that's the best way to describe it.
man,
Um,
people are calling for someone to ban Santito from chat. Guess they don't like him.
Santio, can't you just be nice? Be
They're
nice to
calling
people.
they're calling for it, man. I don't know. We have Gopher in there as a mod. He could drop the hammer.
Could drop
You
that
know,
hammer.
you're a mod. You could drop the hammer. Look at Gopher's been here the whole time. He hasn't said a single word, but I mentioned how he's gotten sucked in by PUBG, and sure enough, there he is.
PUBG is great, man. But honestly, I'm waiting for it to come to Xbox before I really go hard on it. I think. Whew. Santio is innocent.
Waiting to go hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in hard and deep on PUBG. Just saying.
Hard and deep. All right.
Why do we never play any games together, Rand?
Do you play any games?
You should. You know what you should do, Rand? You should get up at 5 in the morning and come play Dying Light with me and Roby.
Maybe I
think you
should.
do that. I think you should.
If I'm up at that time.
I mean, what time do you go to bed?
Shit depends, man. Like last night, I went to bed at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't fall asleep.
Well, just
Yeah,
stay up a bit later and come and play with me and Roby.
MIDI. I do have a Ghost of a Tale preview on my channel. I posted a preview of the game last week when it hit. You can check that out. It's in the Rands Spotlight stuff.
Should we take some audience questions?
Sure, let's take some questions. Who's got questions for me and Jez? Hit them up in chat. We will answer them. But yeah, so Jez, what are you looking forward to, man? The next couple months? Anything interesting got your eye on the games?
Well, I'm going to Gamescom in a month, and there's going to be things at Gamescom. So I've been told, interesting things. So there's going to be new builds of a lot of games we've heard about, like new demos for games that we've heard about and are upcoming. I think like a lot of the time, Gamescom is almost like they take the feedback from E3 and sort of try and build on it a bit. So there could be some more interesting stuff there. But as far as games goes, man, I don't know. I'm not really that hyped for Destiny 2 because I'm not a Destiny guy. I'm not really that hyped for Battlefront 2 anymore because I've heard it's pay to win. I haven't researched it yet, but I'm not confident about these loot crates with stats on. Don't like the sound of them. What else? I'm still quite excited for State of Decay 2 because it's basically the first game but polished.
Right.
I'm actually quite looking forward to Crackdown 3 as well because it's going to be a fun game to play in co-op with
Me?
with you and maybe Roby at 5 in the morning. And it has a black hole gun, which is a lot of fun.
That is true.
But
so first question, we have Sim. He says, Rand, what do you think about VR? Have you tried it? I have not tried it. It's kind of hard to give a solid based opinion on it, on the fact that I haven't tried it.
I tried it.
What do you think? What do you think of it?
Lame. VR sucks.
I think I'd like it. I just I don't know, man. Like it seems like there isn't a lot of excitement around it, so I'll have to wait and see to try it for myself. I can't really give any opinion either way yet. I'm not one of those.
My issue with VR, man, is that you just can't multitask while you're doing it. And the problem is you can't multitask and the games aren't that good either. So like if I'm playing a game that isn't that good, I tend to multitask and like go on Twitter or do something to make it a little bit more fun. But you can't do that in VR. You are stuck with the mediocre game you're playing, and they're all mediocre. All VR games that I've seen and played are just sort of like, if they were console games, they'd be considered double A at best. You know, they're either small in scope, low in depth, and I don't know, they're made to be accessible for some reason. I don't know, and especially the
Right.
PlayStation VR games, they're squashed because the PS5 is not that powerful. So it's bad, it's really bad. But like Phil Spencer says, it needs time to evolve. So we'll have to just wait and see where it goes in the next 4 or 5 years.
Right. Let's see what else we got here. Jose Enrique Name says, with AAA becoming more expensive, do you guys expect Xbox and other publishers to have fewer AAAs compared to smaller games every year? I think that's kind of already happened. You have way more indie games, more every single year than you do AAA games, right?
That was always the case.
Hmm, I don't know if it was always the case, but it's definitely been the
Well, it
case.
wasn't
Yeah,
in
but
PC.
but yeah, it's more expensive to make games. So you might get a couple games a year from these publishers, or at least a standard game like EA does the sports games, and they'll do a big game, maybe two. But like you'll see so many indie games like every single like week on the store. Like this week there's like what 4 or 5. I'm sure next week there'll be another 4. So indie games is kind of taken over, and the releases for these systems would be dry if it wasn't for indie games. Basically, you would go months without a game. Taz wants to know no more TXR. Why? That's an interesting question. No more TXR. Here's what I'll say about TXR. When things become like work and you aren't looking forward to doing a show anymore, then it's time to cut and run. And the reason I do the show with Jez is because I legit look forward to talking with Jez about all this stuff.
Oh,
So that's why we do the show. If it ever became where I felt it like it was work, or it was just Jez hated it and I hated it, I'd shut it down. So on the TXR front, I felt like it was a chore to do. I felt like everybody in the group had kind of grown apart from the show. Nobody was really wanted to see it grow anymore. Everybody was just more like people were calling in left and right, not wanting to do the show. So I felt it was time to just leave. And so Maka left and I left, which we had talked about, and we did it on the same day. And the rest of the guys that were still left decided to close the show. And that's the basic reason why. Jay Farrell says, what are your thoughts on Crackdown 3? I'm looking forward to it, like Jess says. I think it's going to be cool in co-op. The Crackdown 1 was a great game, so I'm definitely looking for it's my most anticipated Xbox exclusive for this year, to be honest with you, although there's really not that many of them. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Jez already talked about that. Do you think Crackdown 3 will flop?
mm,
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it is coming out with the system, so there are people that are going to want to pick it up because it does come on the launch date. Xbox exclusives don't sell particularly. I mean, if it's not Halo or Forza or Minecraft, they don't really sell very well. Ori, I guess it's possible Crackdown 3 may not sell well, right? Maybe all the other games that are launching around that time, like the Star Warses and the Call of Duties and the Need for Speeds and the Wolfensteins will just cannibalize the sales and nobody will get it. I mean, I guess it's entirely possible, right?
yeah, honestly, I can't see Crackdown 3 doing that well, and part of it is because of the visuals. It doesn't look like a modern game.
Mm.
And people often buy things at face value. They judge a book by its cover, and quite honestly, I hadn't played a Crackdown game before E3. I never played Crackdown 1, never played Crackdown 2. I judged Crackdown 3 by its trailer and thought this doesn't look that good. And it was only when I actually played it that I actually did really enjoy myself. That made me want to play more. So if anyone is like me and sees the Crackdown 3 trailers and thinks, it's cel shaded, it doesn't look that good, I think they're gonna have a problem, man. If it's just cell shaded, if the trailers they put out are just cell shaded with explosions, I don't think people are gonna be that interested in it, man. And so I'm not super
Right.
confident in it just because of the way gamers are, not because of the quality of the game. Now, if Crackdown 3 was photorealistic but stylized, and had, less cartoony effects, I think it'd do way better. Because people see that and think, "Oh,
Hmm.
that looks actually pretty cool." If it looked like Infamous, if it played exactly the same way, but it looked like Infamous, it'd do way better. So I think the art
Yeah,
style is going to put a lot
probably.
of people off.
Yeah, Miles says, Rand, would you play Arkham Insurgency? I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about maybe the next sequel in the Arkham franchise. Of course, it's Batman. I'll play anything by Batman. Love me some Batman. Batman is life. Message deleted by Jez. Ooh, did you ban Santito or did you just
He badmouth State Decay too, man. That's
so
just.
you banned him? Okay. He's bad mouth State of Decay. Okay. Um why do you think this is from What's What? Why do you think that Xbox games aren't given a shot to succeed? Like No Man's Sky for PS4 was overhyped and horrible. Why can't we get that hype for Sea of Thieves or Crackdown? Honestly, I've seen a lot of hype for Sea of Thieves among the media. Like all the media that's played that at E3 have loved it, right? I've seen a lot of
Yeah,
positive articles on the game. So,
it's
um,
a lot of. I don't think Sea of Thieves is getting the hype that um I don't think Sea of Thieves is getting the hype that No Man's Sky is getting because frankly, they're not lying about what the game is. You know,
ooh,
if Rare was lying about what Sea of Thieves is and saying, "Oh, you can do this, you can do that," and making all these insane promises, like No Man's Sky was, that it was it's going to be this like basically space MMO, which is basically what they sold it as, then there'd be way more Sea of Thieves hype. And also the fact Sea of Thieves isn't coming to Steam is the fact that No Man's Sky was coming to Steam also drove a lot of its hype. Like on Reddit, where the main gaming subreddits on Reddit, they're all PC orientated. So they were driving a lot of the hype for No Man's Sky. They totally bought all the lies. They got sucked into the hype, and everyone totally believed the hype because it was like they're an indie dev, and this is their first game. There's no way they could lie about this game because they will destroy their reputation forever. But they fucking did. So I think Sea of Thieves isn't getting the same hype because people generally don't have such high expectations of Microsoft in general, which
right.
is you could argue whether that's fair or not, but also they're just not lying about what it is, and they're being pretty transparent about what Sea of Thieves is, and they're showing every little feature that gets added, every new build. I think there's been a test this evening actually of the alpha, which I didn't get a chance to play again, sadly. I need to play that on Saturday. Oh, I can't even play on Saturday because I'm busy.
All right. So Will says, Rand and Jez, don't you guys think that, wait, all right. Don't you guys think Phil saying that they have games coming the next 2 to 3 years is way too long to ask of your audience to wait for new games, whether it be Fable or whatever, seems way long. Um,
Well, there's nothing they can do about it at the end of the day. I mean, it's not if you want a quality game out of Microsoft, you're just gonna have to wait for it. I mean, Microsoft would love to be able to magic a Horizon Zero Dawn out of nowhere and dump it in the middle of fall. Um, they would love to do that, but these things take time, and I think either Microsoft are putting deals in place again with studios that they haven't pissed off, and it's just going to take long. It's going to take a while to see that bear fruit. But the thing is, I think Phil Spencer is he'll get into a flow where it'd be like, we're setting up deals for this year, then we're setting up deals for next year, and we're setting up deals for next year, and that. So I think Phil Spencer, like now that sort of Xbox has transitioned away from the Matrix era, and they've had a pretty big restructuring internally. Like Mike Ibarra came on to take over the platform and that sort of thing, and they've completely changed the direction of the Xbox One. from what it was in 2013. It's completely changed direction. So I think like now that they've got the right management team in place, they've got the right backing from Satya Nadella and that sort of thing. They'll get into a flow of hopefully anyway, they'll get into a flow of exclusives that'll sort of come every year, and we won't get into this weird situation that we're in right now where people are questioning whether or not Microsoft can deliver on that AAA sort of promise. So I mean that's the optimistic view, you know. So I think people just have to exercise a bit of patience there. And
Right.
honestly, if you don't have patience, just buy a PlayStation 4 as well. You know, there's nothing wrong with owning two systems unless you're a crazy psycho fanboy. You know, there's nothing wrong with owning two systems. I don't own two systems because I barely have time to play my Xbox and my PC. I don't need another system in my life. But if you're not happy with the state of the Xbox One lineup right now, but you prefer the Xbox One for its multiplats, or your friends play on Xbox One, just buy a PlayStation 4 for the exclusives. Everyone at Xbox does. Everyone at Xbox owns a PlayStation as well. They own a Switch, they own a gaming PC, and they own an Xbox. And they don't do that because they have to for their job. They do it because they're gamers and they love gaming and they've got a disposable income. You know? So, and look at Rand. Rand pretended that he got donated money so he could buy a PlayStation so he could play the exclusive.
Pretended, huh?
Yeah. You know?
You're still running with that? Well, that was a good answer to the question. So this is gonna be the last question, then we'll get out of here so Jez can spend some time with the girlfriend. Face 23 BKNY says, "Do you guys think the Destiny Pro bundle will sell well?"
Hell yeah!
I think yes. It's Destiny. It's a white Pro, which people have asked for. Comes with the $100 version of Destiny 2 for an extra $50. I think that bundle's going to sell a lot. I just kind of questioned in the video I did about it. Like, I thought Sony was leaving money on the table by not having a matching bundle to go with the regular PS4. You know, and I think it's kind of lazy. It's white, like, because why not do a custom color? But you obviously can tell Sony is going to be trying to push Pro this holiday, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Star Wars Battlefront Pro bundle or a Call of Duty Pro bundle. Maybe they'll just forgo. Maybe all the bundles for Sony this year will just be Pro bundles, and they won't even bundle it with the regular Slim. Like, maybe the Slim will just be bundled with like Horizon Zero Dawn or something, What?
Oh, nothing. I'm just delirious from lack of sleep.
So I think it'll sell. I think it'll sell well. I mean, Destiny is one of the bigger games, and it's $450, and people want that color, man. People want that color. Proto. All right, we'll answer this really fast, and then we're gonna get out of here. Will Microsoft have a bundle this holiday, Jez?
Well, that's what got teased to me. Well, I took it as a tease. Maybe he didn't mean it like that, and I just misread what he was saying. But I've been teased about special bundles and even special editions. I would say. I mean, you can go and read my interview on Windows Central. Just search in Google for Mike Nichols at Windows Central Xbox, and then you can see the interview where Mike Nichols kind of teased that there would be some like special Xbox One X versions.
Right.
So we'll see.
All right, so that is the show. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by for episode number 16. Thanks for everybody being civil in chat. Like, remember, keep it civil. Don't troll, and Jez won't have to ban you and use that ban hammer. Appreciate all of you out here watching. I think we had like 220. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Jez, what do you have going on for the rest of the week besides the Roby 1 Kenobi streams on Mixer? The morning Mixer with Roby and Jez.
Yeah, so we do the morning Mixer every morning for people, 5 a.m. PST. For people who are having breakfast, maybe they're driving to work. We just talk about Xbox and play some Dying Light usually. That's on mixer.com/Windows Central, so come and check us out there. Tomorrow we are streaming another game. I don't know which game, but we're streaming. Me, Zach, and Daniel Rubino from Windows Central, we're streaming something tomorrow, and we'll be giving away a AAA game like Gears of War. We've given away Gears of War 4, Horizon Zero Dawn? No, that's an PlayStation game. We've been giving away Forza Horizon and we've been giving away Halo Wars a lot. So if you want to win a AAA game, follow us on mixer.com/Windows Central. And other than that, nothing, man. I'm probably going to play World of Warcraft and ruin my life and productivity.
All right. I mentioned that I'll have the Black to Fall review out. Look for that in about an hour and a half. I think it's like a 10 minute, 20-second video. So check that out. It's an interesting game if you're interested in my thoughts on the game. So if with all that, as I always say, if you like the podcast, please give us a like. Even if I know we have some haters, so dislike it, you haters out there. Hit that dislike button too. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If this was your first time, hit the notification button that's next to the little bell next to the sub, so you always get notified immediately when I upload new content. Share this out with everybody on your Twitter list or whatever. Hit that share button so you can share the glory of Rand and Jez with everybody, because we're awesome, right, Jez? Pretty much it, right?
Well, Rand is awesome, at least.
Okay, yeah. And we will be back next week on July 19th for episode number 17. And who knows what we'll be talking about next week, because we don't know yet. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see everybody next week. Later.